Okay, for those of you who just joined the call, this is the National Indian Justice Center, and we just started the recording just so that everybody knows. We do a recording of each of our webinars so that we can put them into the online Moodle course format and be able to share them with the advisory panel as well. And we'll take a few more minutes just to let everybody join. Okay.
Kelly, this is Carol. Can you hear me?
I can hear you well. How you
doing?
Good.
I'm doing good. I'm online. I just sent you a little chat, but I guess my microphone isn't an issue. I don't have my headset right now.
Okay, I don't see a chat popping up. It is showing me that you have your headphone. That's fine.
I'm glad you can hear me.
Me too. You sound clearer than this morning, so hopefully you're feeling better.
I was on my phone this morning and I couldn't hear you that well, and then Will said he could hear you clearly, so I'm trying the just talking to my computer.
When it starts talking back is when you should be worried.
That's when it gets removed to the outdoors.
Put it out on the porch.
Yeah.
I finally tried one of those Alexa units where you say Alexa and then you can have it turn on music or turn off music. And it's okay when you're by yourself, but when there's several people yelling commands at Alexa, you start to get a little irritated. Alexa, turn their music down. Okay, well, I think we'll go ahead and start. We have a lot of slides to cover, and I can see Christy's on the line. So Christy, you can chime in and help out anywhere along the line. In the office here, we have Kelly and Ben, and Carol is online with us. That's all of the NIJC staff for the project. I can see on the ReadyTalk controls that we have Loretta, who's already told us she's on the line, Mary, and Susie, who is showing two lines. So there may be two people there with you, Susie. Or maybe somebody else is calling from your office. It's just showing up twice. Or my other favorite is that you may be using the computer and the phone, so it sees you twice. So for those of you who are joining the call, this is the Native American Children's Training Forum. I continually want to call it program, but we began with the forum. That was the original program name from Cal OES, so I've got to get myself used to it. You'd think I'd done that by now. And today what we're doing is a presentation that's called the Guidance Webinar, and this is really particular to the project sites and the hub sites. So if you're online with us, you are one of those. If you are not one of those, you may want to let me know now, and I can explain to you whether or not you really want to sit through the entire thing. So this guidance webinar is to go over what we are going to do and what we expect to be the last year of this program. And part of the guidance webinar is to make sure that the hub sites understand the new requirements for the last year, which has a new layer of evaluation activities. And there are a couple of new training requirements. So we have a number of slides to get through, so I'll go ahead and get started. If you have any questions, please just go ahead and start talking, and I will stop talking so you can ask your question. It will be really informal. So we've allotted an hour's time. I think we can get through it probably faster than that, but the number of slides may have us close to it. So here we go. As I say that, the slides didn't advance, so bear with me. Here we go. Okay, so just as kind of an agenda or a table of contents, you'll receive the slides by email if you haven't already. We'll begin with an introduction and overview of the program itself, and go over the goals and objectives of the program, an outline of responsibilities and expectations for NIJC, the sites, and then we will talk about site reporting. We're going to be asking for an annual report to come from each one of the sites. Then we'll go over the online classroom and the resources that are in Moodle, and we've set aside time at the end for questions and answers, but as I said, if you have any questions as we go through, don't hesitate to ask. Okay. So the program itself is funded by Cal OES, and through this program we have 18 project sites that have received technology resources and 3 regional hub sites that we've asked to serve as remote training sites, web conferencing sites, basically to provide a training environment for people who serve at-risk Native youth. So you'll see a little bit more detail as we go through the slides, but I don't want to just read them to you, so I will hit the highlights and we'll keep moving through. There's actually a twofold purpose for this program. It's one of the more interesting programs that we've ever administered in that it allows for us to provide IT. Sorry, there was a little bit of feedback possibly from one of the calls. So if you have a headset or using a speakerphone and it comes up again, we may have to do a quick check. So the twofold purpose allowed us to provide IT resources to sites, just a handful of sites per year, but over the last 5 years, that's added up to the total of 18 that we have now. To do that, we had to conduct a needs assessment of those sites and what they would need with regards to IT, and you can imagine that there was a greater need than there were resources available. So our goals really were to build foundational resources within each one of those sites so that they could build upon them in the future. So we were able to go and provide some of those foundational resources and then later years actually build upon some for some of the sites. Now that was what we would call Part A in terms of purposes, but Part B was to use those resources and also provide distance learning training curricula, as well as a combined classroom and distance learning format, which we'll get to in a little bit. So in addition to the IT resources needs assessment, we also did a training needs assessment. And so we picked several topics to actually go through and develop training curricula for, and had a handful of folks that were consultants who helped to build out those curricula and build out those topics. And so we were able to kind of go down the list and prioritize based upon the needs assessment survey and identify the curricula that should be created or expanded upon. The objectives for 2018, and this is where I'll ask if you're watching the slides, this is definitely the one that you want to pay attention to. If you don't have the slides in front of you, they'll all be sent out to you, and everything is bold-faced on the page. So if you have any questions once you see it, don't hesitate to give us a call or an email. So we have 6 objectives for 2018 that involve not just NIJC's activities, but also site activities. The first objective is to enroll 2 or more staff members at each of the 18 sites in one of the online courses. and have them complete and evaluate the course. So at the end of each one of the courses, there is an evaluation survey link. So if you have done a course already, we would want to know that. I think we can pull it from the participant list. But for this year, it is a new objective. So if you've done one already, you may want to tap the shoulder of another staff member. And we are hoping for 2 or more, so a total of 36 representing each one of the sites. Part of this is to get your feedback, and part of it is to make sure that the site functionality each year is working. So having people go through the sites is always very helpful. The second objective is to conduct 3 training sessions for 25 or more participants. And we have a few of those already coming up. I know the one that I'm involved in will be at the end of the month on July 27th at RingCon, and that's the computer literacy course. The third one is to revise and expand the short-term and mid-term evaluation tools. So that's an internal activity here. But of course, once we revise those evaluation tools, they will be sent out to you and to others who are involved in the activities or in the online courses. Fourth objective is to develop a program guidance webinar, this is the first of those live broadcasts. The guidance webinar will be broadcast for just the site personnel, and then to obtain a written progress report from each site. I told you we have a layer of evaluation that will be happening this year, so the more feedback that we can get from each one of the sites on how the program is working, everything from the resources you receive to the trainings that you participated in or have conducted yourself, will go back to Cal OES and help them to justify the spending of funds that they have spent in the last 6 years, and possibly to direct them towards additional needs for future funding. Objective 5 is to revise the trainee evaluation surveys and login credentials to capture more detailed info on trainee demographics. So this was a suggestion that came from Cal OES's evaluators. They are a consultant group, and they will be looking at all of this data as it comes back. We've already provided quite a bit of data to them, and so based upon their suggestions, we're going to modify and increase the amount of survey tools out there to collect the data. And this was one of their suggestions, was to create a profile for each student that captures a little bit more of their demographic information. So we have some of that for you, and we could always go back and supply it to them. I think what they want to see is something that can be immediately put into the database and immediately accessed by Cal OES. Number 6 is to analyze training needs data and produce a report on the training gaps. And this will be an internal activity for NIJC, and it will be from the needs assessment survey that is still live. So if you have any additional training needs or updated training needs, then please visit the website and click on the link for the training needs assessment, and we'll also circulate that information. The report will essentially be what is left to be addressed, and we produced a fairly lengthy list based upon the initial responses in the first years of the program. So we fully expect that there will be continuing needs and updated needs as we move forward. Okay, any questions at all before we move from the program objectives?
Hi, Kelly. So it's Mary.
Hi, Mary.
Hi. So number 2, conduct 3 training sessions for 25 or more. That's for your staff, right? And the RingCon one is under that?
Yes. Okay. Sorry, let me be clear on that. The 3 training sessions are just NIJC activities, and we did not plan to have any consultants for this last year. We thought it was all evaluation, but there was enough funding in there for us to complete 3 more. So it will be a grant writing training session that Carol will administer. I'm trying to think of the positive youth programs that Nikki will administer, and the computer literacy one that I'll administer.
Okay.
And we'll circulate those dates. The dates have all been selected, and they're all fairly, they're going to be coming up fairly soon.
The first one will be this Friday at NIJC's offices in Santa Rosa, and that will be Creative Youth Development.
I'm looking at my calendar going, when did that get there? Okay. Okay, any other questions?
No.
Okay, if you think of anything, just stop me as we go. So these are the NACTF sites and hub sites. If you look on the list on the right, where there's a check mark, those are the 3 hub sites. So that's Tolowa, Indian Health Council, and American Indian Child Resource Center. And each one of the star sites are the project sites. So just if you didn't know if you were a site or were concerned if you were or were not, this is the list. Now, to make this absolutely clear, we have had a number of folks who have said we have been a site, we're not sure if we're going to continue to be a site. So if you do not want to be a site, that is okay. We just need to evaluate how or why you decided not to participate anymore. So don't be offended if we ask why. It's really for us to be able to turn that information around. And for each year, we will renew the MOUs. So we'll be doing some outreach to each one of the sites to make sure that they are still interested in participating. This year, like I said, is funding that we did not expect to have. So we had expected the project would actually close out in year 5. So we're happy to keep going with the project, and I think the evaluation is extremely important. So hopefully moving forward, the state will have an idea of which direction to go from the work that the sites and the hubs have done and from the information that we've collected. Okay, so the 3 regional sites I identified on the map, but the regional sites have received the IT equipment and it's hardware and software, but their focus has been to provide an environment or forum, if you will, so that they can conduct either remote training or conferences, provide local classroom resources, basically anything that will foster the distance learning or subject matter that has been part of this project. And overall, the goal is to reach those who serve at-risk Native youth. And so the networking aspect of this is incredibly important because we have had non-traditional partners attend some of these meetings that we've had at the hub sites. And, where we were thinking that they should be a partner, they weren't sure about it until they got to the hub site and learned more information about topics like ICWA or topics like investigating child abuse and neglect cases on tribal lands, that sort of thing. So if you are looking for any resources or any further information about the project, just know that there is a project website. It's under NIJC.org, then /NACTF.html. On that site, you'll find a range of information, and even when this project closes out, we will continue to provide announcements, definitely information about proposals or online trainings. We'll probably remove the name NACTF because that belongs to the state, but the logo is ours. So you can see the menu there. It goes from the home page, announcements, the IT and training, information about the hub sites. The proposal section has a section on existing grant opportunities. The online training, you can reach the Moodle course room from there. A mailing list to join, and we will continue administering information to that email list. Resources and funding. Funding also has more program opportunities. Okay.
Just checking the feed.
Okay.
Mine looks a little different.
Is it changing slides?
No, I just have, there's like a swirly circle in the background.
Okay. Sorry, Ben and I are comparing screens here.
It's okay.
So the next section has a laundry list of the existing NACTF online courses. These are all in NIJC's Moodle room. The only thing that you need to access any of these courses is an email and a password. There's no cost to these courses. We'll continue to provide them for free for anybody who wants to take them. But remember, one of the new requirements is to have 2 people from each site complete one of the courses. So we wanted to just go through the titles so that you can see what they are, and hopefully there will be something here of interest to somebody in your organization. A range of experience is welcome. If you have folks who are not aware of some of the training topics here, you know, we don't necessarily need to know if they're a beginner or not. It's just up to you in terms of hopefully assigning somebody to do it. From the top, I'll just go through the titles. You can read the details when the PowerPoint gets circulated. We have the Tribal Star Indian Child Welfare Act presentation. We have an ICWA 101 course that has had several layers added to it. So we've done individual qualified expert witness presentations, and they've been worked in here. We've done individual presentations on the reasonable efforts versus active efforts, and they're inserted here. So ICWA 101 is comprised of many presentations from different sources. Then we have the separate qualified expert witness, and this was, I believe, the day-long training that happened at Reading. This has been updated with a little bit of information. The active effort session should be updated. There may be a few of these that were impacted by the new regs that were adopted. So the next segment includes the mandatory reporting presentation and the courtroom decorum presentation. And again, all of these topics are from the list that we received in terms of priorities from the Training Needs Assessment Survey. The NICWA Positive Indian Parenting presentation, and this one, the folks at Tolo, I believe, had received the NICWA Positive Indian Parenting curriculum, modified it for their community. So know and understand that this one has been tailored. The next one is the computer literacy course, and this is understanding use and operation of commonly used computer programs. So this one will be with the program that we're doing at the end of the month. We have another course that is how to become a distance learner, and it is also very good. And it is part of these courses, but know and understand, like the computer literacy, it is not necessarily tailored to child welfare. The computer literacy programs will have some common use programs and explain how to use them, what to look out for in terms of security, and how to use some of the tools for child welfare programs, but not necessarily for the online. Sorry, the phone is ringing here. I'm just going to let that go. So the How to Be a Distance Learner course is a little bit more generic and is related to the tools per se as opposed to the subject matter. Okay, the goals. So we've talked about the purpose of the program, but we have goals and objectives that help us carry the program through. And the goals here are, there's 5 here that are listed, but what we're really focusing on for 2018 is making sure that the curricula is completely functional, making sure that the information about the availability of the curricula is starting to spread along all of your networks, making sure that people are making use of the distance learning opportunities, and then making sure that if there are any additional trainings by the hub sites or any events by the hub sites, that we're still able to provide TA for them to carry those through. You do not have a requirement to provide those trainings like you did in past years. Sorry, the phone's just going crazy here all of a sudden. So what we are asking, or we are encouraging, that you continue to do that work. And if you can make those remote trainings happen or allow other people to use your space, then we would hope that you would let us know or document that so that we can make sure that we can include that in the data that goes back to Cal OES. So just remember, long term, the hub sites should be places for people to gather and learn. Okay, and the objectives, and these are going to be our particular activities as we close out the last year. So on this one, I think I may have a typo here on number 2, but let's start with number 1. So we will be doing outreach to each of the sites to ask if you want to renew your MOU. We're putting an internal deadline of July 31st to get all of those MOUs returned. And I know that they have been coming through because we've been signing them. On number 2, it says have 1 or more staff members, but you remember earlier I had 2 or more staff members from each site participate. Oh, sorry. My bad on this one. This is not a typo. Number 2 is to have 1 or more staff members participate in the guidance webinar broadcast. So you are currently representing your site now on this guidance webinar. We will have another guidance webinar before the end of June, and we'll ask for all of the other sites to participate. Number 3 is the objective that I was thinking of, which is to have 2 or more staff members enroll in one of the online courses. We're asking you to do that and complete and evaluate the course by December 31st. So if you start now, you'll have plenty of time. And the last one is to complete an annual NACTF progress report, and we're looking at a deadline of December 1st, 2018. So with this one,
so for objective 2, sorry to interrupt, the deadline is June 30th, and this is our first.
Oh, we're in July.
Webinar.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. I think that was a typo, and we're looking at July 31st.
Either way, we are beyond June 30th.
Okay. Just so we know for the recording that we're past that.
We're all in flagrant violation of the June 30th deadline.
I won't tell you that.
Well, we'll get a modification and extend that out for that activity. I think this is our internal deadline, so it's okay. The last objective, the annual progress report, there is a survey that's associated with that. And Christy, this may be where I need your help. Is the survey the full progress report, or is the survey the initial or an associated document with the progress report?
The progress report will be like a SurveyMonkey link that will be sent to all the project sites before December.
Okay.
So it would be, yeah, it's a new report completely from the course needs assessment.
Okay, great. I just didn't want to layer any additional work on anybody to do a separate narrative report. So what we were really looking for is for you to respond to the survey, and then the survey questions will constitute the annual progress report. Now, with that, what I would ask, if you have them, any graphics or whether they're pictures or anything that you have done that you want to share. You don't have to do this, but if there are items like that that you would like to share so that, remember, it goes in with our final report to Cal OES, then you can email those to me at nijc@aol.com or to Christy at christyg@nijc.org, and we'll include that information in a follow-up email. Okay, any questions about those objectives? This is where we layered the work on to the sites. Or any questions about renewing MOUs? Okay. So the responsibilities and expectations are the next section. For NIJC, we really have not changed much in our role. We'll be doing the administration of the program, implementing the activities as outlined in the objectives. We will continue to coordinate with the expert panel and review the project activities as we go. We do have what is a new activity that Christy has been doing, which is issuing monthly e-blasts on announcements, updates, and availability of courses and training. So if you have any information that you would like to have shared in those monthly e-blasts, please send those to Christy, and she can include those. And then also to do course moderation and office hours or TA to support any additional courses that the sites want to do, and also to administer the online courses. So if you do have any additional work that you want to do, or you need to use the Ready Talk room or the online courses, and just let us know, and we'll try and have somebody live and available just to deal with the initiation of the tools, making sure that things are working. We always had a hiccup. No matter what you do, there's going to be a tech hiccup. So having an extra ear in the cloud to sort of help walk things through can be helpful. For the project and hub sites, again, renewing the MOUs if you want to continue. We ask that you might assign a liaison who can coordinate with us if there are any issues or maintenance concerns about the IT resources. So most of you have done that when you initially requested the IT resources. If that person has changed or you want to identify a different person, then please let us know. We have the one person that you would have participate in the webinar for the guidance, which is the one you're doing now, and then have 2 people enrolling in the NACTF online course. So that's really the goal of this last year, or goals of the last year for the sites. Sorry, there's a few more. We had talked about this idea of having a consultant that is doing the evaluation. That consultant is working with NIJC, but they're not necessarily working for anybody other than Cal OES. They're an independent evaluator. And we have provided them with a lot of information, and they have had the few suggestions that we're implementing during this last year that have to do with the survey tools and the evaluation tools, the expanded profiles for the students in the online courses. But they will be calling, if they have not done so already, each site and asking for information. They'll have scripted questions that they'll ask. We have had input into the development of some of the questions, and we think that they are all very fair and well done. So any comments, anything that you say is between you and them. And anything that they share with us will only be to do an update that could have an immediate positive impact on the objectives and the activities that we're carrying out. So speak freely. Anything that you say will hopefully shape, again, the direction that the program will take after this is complete. And then completing that annual progress report survey when it's sent out, and then request TA from NIJC as needed if you have any additional events or meetings. I think I already hit that first one, which is participate in the evaluation activities. So we believe that'll be a combination of phone calls and possibly survey questions that'll be sent to you in advance of the phone calls. And then the last one, perform reporting of objectives and outcomes achieved as required by NIJC. So this will be in that survey. Any data that you give us will be done in aggregate or reported in aggregate. So we are not looking to identify particular sites unless you have a story that you'd like us to share, a success story or even the lessons learned story. But we are looking for any data that shows the impact of the project on your program, and some of the suggestions in terms of what the state may be looking for is, have the IT resources impacted your management, your efficiency, the number of children or adults served or trained, increased access to resources as a result of the IT resources? So were you able to access online programs that you couldn't have gotten to before? And have there been any improved outcomes for staff or those served by partner sites? So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind as you go through, and as we lead up to December, anything that shows evidence of that is great. All right, the site reporting. The progress reporting period is for the year of 2018, running from January 1 through December 31st. The progress report survey, and this is the annual report, so there's just the one, will be sent to you. There is a link there on the screen, and you can get that when we send out the slides. And we're asking that you complete that by December 1st. So in doing that, you're kind of doing a projection for what you're going to do for the month of December, which, you know, we believe is fine. By that time, you should be closing things out with regards to this program anyway. So we'll be looking at that as the closing date. Okay, the accountability slide. So what is it we have to do? This is just showing it side by side. I think all of these deadlines have been put up before, so this is kind of a nice graphic. If you want to put it somewhere, it'll have all the dates and the responsibilities for NIJC and the sites on the same page. Okay, the Moodle and the online, or Moodle and online classroom. So to get to that online classroom, you go to nijconline.org, and when you get there, there is an NACTF link. With that, there are some administrative programs that show you how to use Moodle, and then there on this slide, how you log into Moodle, the Moodle documentation just in case you have any issues that come up, and then there's also a mobile app, and we've only recently received that, so it's probably a month or two old, so we haven't had much practice on it. So if you have any of your folks use the app and run into any issues accessing our courses or, you know, functionality issues, we'd like to hear back from you. When you go to log into Moodle, this is what the screen looks like, and this is where you enter your username and your password. You can make sure it remembers you. Note the cookies must be enabled in the browser, so this is something that could be problematic if you're using a website on a mobile device. So if you're going to use a mobile device to access it, please download the app and try it first. To get a user account, you can email Christy or you can email directly to Barry at nijc.org, and he usually turns things around pretty quickly. We say 1 to 2 business days, but you usually receive it before that. Once you're on and you click on the link for a Native American Children Training Forum, you'll get an introductory screen that tells you about the program, the funding through Cal OES. Everybody be still. At the bottom of the screen there, you see the list begins with the courses. And if you haven't been on Moodle before, there are some side menus over here that when we log in, we may see, like the site administration button. When you log in, some of these may be missing. It has a calendar, so if we load up any events on the calendar, or if you load up any events on the calendar, it'll show up here. And then under the administration, we'll probably see that and you won't. There is kind of the user interface, which is the middle of the screen, and then some of the tools for the users to interact with one another, like forums that can be on the side. But then all the administration tools are there too. So once you're in the site, you can just go down the course list and select the one that you're ready to take or would like to take. And I know we're saying please do one, and we know what we're asking. It takes time to complete the courses, and we hope that you can do that. But if you're interested in more than one, that's no problem. Like I said, it's just a matter of going in and then enrolling in each course. So if you've been in there before, please note that you'll run into this change, which will be to update your profile. says on the right upper corner next to your name and profile picture, click on the down arrow, here where the red arrow is pointing, to display a drop-down menu. Then you click Profile. You scroll down to User Details and select Edit. This is here. When you select Edit, there will be some informational boxes that it will ask you to populate with data. And that demographic information is part of what the evaluators had asked us to do. So there may be some things that are mandatory and there may be some things that are optional. So please do the mandatory and then you choose what you want to provide that's for the optional. Remember that what you're putting in there is going to be reported in aggregate. It won't be individualized data as far as we know. So it's really for their evaluation report to show the resources. The mobile app has a screen that is shown here on this slide on the right. You go to your App Store to Google Play. There's formats for both types of phones and tablets. And you log in and you use the same info that you've been issued. So you still have to have a username and password. But once you're logged in, you won't have to sign in each time. It will remember your information. Okay, you have made it to the end. We're at the question and answer slide. So in the NACTF webpage, I believe this has been posted. Christy may have to correct me if I'm wrong here, but Christy has created a frequently asked questions document. And one of the document is the result of questions that have been asked. And so she's consolidated a number of the questions into a single document with the responses. We think it was done very well. So if you have any questions that come up, this frequently asked questions may help you get through it, or it can be something you can share with others. So some of the questions that did come up were about the online courses and questions about the blended format trainings, how to log in. So there were questions about finding additional information related both to the project and ICWA specifically. So a lot of those are responded to in the frequently asked questions document. Okay. So if you need to contact us at all, the emails are here on the screen. I think I've listed those out before. And if you need our physical mailing address, it's there. I think for informational purposes for the recording, our phone number at NIJC is 707-579-5507. And just so that everybody hears it, in case you don't have the screen version going, the email for myself is nijc@aol.com. That's for Kelly Myers. And the email for Christy Garcia is christygg@nijc.org. Okay, any questions at all? They're so quiet.
No.
Hopefully we were just good at covering all the details. So for everybody who was able to be here today, thank you. I really appreciate it. And we have checked off one of the requirements. So participating in this guidance webinar so that you would understand what we were going to ask of you for the remainder of 2018. And if you have any questions or concerns about those requests, please don't hesitate to contact us and we'll address it. And there's room here when we're looking at these evaluation criteria to be able to say this is what actually happened. So we have plans and we have charts and we have all kinds of requests, but we know things don't always go as planned. So we just need to document why it doesn't go as planned. Okay, so if you don't have any questions, we really appreciate your time and we'll let you go. And if you do have questions, don't hesitate to call or email. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.